And then if you reflect H prime, what would you call its new reflection? H double prime, right? Like two apostrophes is good. You're on the right track here. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. What I would like you to do now is talk your process through with Alyssa and make sure that that makes sense to her. That's good. And then after that it hits the T, right? So that's when you're done reflecting. You have two walls that have hit, so that means you have two reflections. Well, now it says, yeah, step 3, connect from the T to the highest. Why right there? Why would it stop right there? Oh, keep it past the wall. That makes sense. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so you have H prime. Now, after it hits wall Y, where is it supposed to go with that? X, right? Now, it says always reflect the new point. So you reflected this over here on H prime. This is your new point, is it not? Now you need to reflect this point over on X. Does that make sense?
I get it. We're making a huge like graph.
Kinda. I guess, yeah, that's a good, yeah.
Making like an X, Y, coordinate.
Oh, they call those walls X and Y just for simplicity's sake. And sometimes you'll you'll bounce off of more than one wall. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, but I didn't know it.
Well, extend any line that you're going to reflect. Okay, that's great. Now, we don't need to reflect the T, only the H. These are the 2 points that are important to us. Now, one more thing. This right here says always reflect the new, right? So, after you've reflected this, which is the new point, okay? So that's when you need to reflect this guy over reflex, not this guy. Does that make sense? Okay. So, you wrote that. This is where you started. And the first row that you have wall Y. So we're going to extend line Y, and we're going to explain this point over. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. Step 4. Oh. Okay. Now, a couple things that I want to bring your attention to. Carson pointed out something awesome, which is what we're trying to get to. He said, before we reflected, he was trying to figure out, well, if the ball hits the wall at a certain angle, it needs to come off at the same angle. And he's right. That's called the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection. If you hit the wall at a 45-degree angle, the ball is going to come off at a 45-degree angle. Now, mind you, this is mathematics. This is not physics. Okay? So spin and momentum and like wind resistance, and if there's a rock in the path, that has nothing to do with it, okay? But mathematically, if you hit the ball perfectly, there's no spin, there's no trick shot, and it hits the wall at 45 degrees, and it's a nice smooth wall, it will come off at the exact same angle. Does that make sense? So he went about it as trying to figure out like what the angle, okay, if I hit the angle here and it'll bounce off at the same angle, then it can go over here, which is awesome. But that did not tell him where on the wall to hit. Do you guys follow me? Okay, now we can go through a problem together.
You have to go one.
Okay, on your desk you should all have this practice 1 part 2. And it says, draw a path from the T to the hole with a bounce off of wall X and then wall Y. So you guys all have this image and you have lots of space to show your work. What's going to happen is you with your table partner, or group of 3 if you need to make one, are going to work your way through getting the T or the ball from the T to the hole, and you have to follow the path that they gave you. They gave you instructions on how to work through it, and if you have any questions, you can ask. Now, There is a mathematical process behind this. You can't just draw lines and expect the ball to get to the hole. There are reflections involved with this. So read the instructions and see what happens. Again, if at any time you are unsure what one of the rules means, you can ask. The rules are on the top right-hand side of the page. Yes, Sam?
When it says write the path, does that mean like we can draw the lines?
Write the path. What do you think? That's a great question. Sam says write the path. So, can you read number 1 for me? What does number 1 say? On the left-hand side. Sorry, there's 2 number 1s. That's my fault.
Draw a path from the tee to the hole, bounce off of X, then wall.
Okay, so it says draw a path from the tee to the hole, and it has to bounce off of wall X and then wall Y. So the path is where the ball's gonna go, right? And if they want you to write the path, that's like saying they want you to write where the ball's gonna go. So if I was the ball and I'm gonna start here at these chairs, and I need to go to the door, but I want to ricochet off of the whiteboard, wouldn't that be like I start here, I walk to the whiteboard and hit it, and then I can walk to the door. Does that make sense? That was my path. So where does your ball start? It starts on the tee. Okay? Where's it supposed to go next? Bounce off of wall X. Now, isn't wall X like a line? How do we name lines?
The line.
If we have 2 letters, but what if we don't have 2 letters?
Oh, the right
Then
line.
A lowercase
cursive.
cursive X, right? So it starts at point T, it hits wall X, then where does it go?
To the wall Y.
It needs to hit wall Y. And where does it end up?
In the hole.
In the hole. Now notice T and H are capitalized because they're like points. Are we all on the same path with that? Now, this is what they mean by write your path. Here's where it starts. Here's where it goes next. After that, here's where it ends up. Okay? That's a great question. Keep going. So can you explain that to me? Okay, so that's how you're going to reflect it? So where are you going to start? And what are you going to do with it? Okay, so you're kind of like going to say this is where it should end up, and it's going to go through that path. But what does it mean reflect? What do you think, Jada? Okay, going back to the start. What is that?
So basically,
Reflect. So you know we're going to have to do reflections, right? Yeah. So we want to reflect it first. What are we starting with?
So you take your E
We're reflecting the whole. The whole. So we're going to reflect that over what? Okay, run you through that again?
Right, so if you were to imagine the axis you're reflecting it here, you take a projector and measure out the angle at which this line is traveling, and then you flip it over, find the angle at which this line will travel out of.
Okay. I agree with something. You're totally right with those angles. But how do you know it's going to hit there? What if it hits here? but Claire, what if I like hit it this way?
There's T's and
Or what if I hit it over
C's
here?
and not
How do I
half.
know where on this wall to hit it, so it will hit exactly where I need it to on wall Y, and it can hit exactly in the hole? Do you have your path written down? Write your path down. And then what does step 2 say to do? Reflect it backwards. So if this is the path that it needs to go, it says to reflect it backwards. So if I'm going backwards, okay, but what key part did they say we had to do with that? Reflect it, right? So we're gonna start with H, which is like a point. And we need to reflect it over which line first? Y. So use your geometry. Does that make sense? No, that's good. Now, what did this say here?
Always reflect the new point.
Always reflect, good, always reflect the new point.
Okay.
So, this was the hole, we're gonna call it H prime, right? Now, what's next on your path? So, we want to, that's perfect. Yeah. We'll get there. You're doing great. Keep it going. Okay, so they want you to, what? What is that step 2 say? Reflect the backwards, right? Now, backwards, we'll get there in 1 second, guys. Backwards starts with what? H. So that's kind of like a point, right? And that's going to reflect it over line. So you're going to start by taking this point and reflecting it over line 1. Does that make sense? This is a line. So we're going to extend it just like we did on the first section. And we're going to take this point and reflect it over. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so you have the backwards path written, right? I see some good things, guys. Here's what I see. I see that everyone has gotten to this point right here. Right? Because we said reflect the path backwards. So I've written the path backwards. The key word here is reflect, right? You know we're going to have to do some reflecting. Now, some things that I saw some of you guys like just drawing a path. So here's kind of like what the hole looks like. Here's the hole. Here's the T. I saw some people just saying boom, boom, boom. How do you know that's the path it has to take? How do you know if you hit this ball at this wall at that point, it's going to hit it just right to hit this spot, just right to hit the hole? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can draw any line you want, but do you know that's the path the ball is going to take? So to get this mathematically correct, you need to reflect the path backwards, which means that we're pretending we're starting with what? The hole. And we need to reflect that over what? Well, does that make sense? Doesn't this kind of look like a point on your page? And doesn't this kind of look like a line? Can we extend this line and reflect this guy over it? Do it. Now notice I just called the whole H because it's easier. When you reflect point H, what do we call it? H prime. Good. Okay. Do you see the line called Y? No. Yeah. Okay.
So then it says connect forwards from the T to the first prime. So you go
Over
to the
this
first
line.
prime.
So where is this line at?
T.
Then you're right. Extend it. Yeah.
Bam.
Very good. Now,
From the previous shown
you're going to
point
use your geometry.
to
You're
the
going
next
to
lowest prime point.
reflect this to. Now I know that hole is like rather large, like think we gotta get a golf ball in there. You can put a point in the middle and just reflect that point if that helps you. You're extending line Y and reflecting it over. So I want you to think about this. If you have a putt, right? If you're putt putting, and you take that and you hit a ball right at the wall, what's gonna happen? It's gonna come right back at you, right? So is that gonna work? No, we're gonna start with this one. And we're gonna reflect it over line one. Start it here. Reflect it over. That's perfect. You did that, right? Call it H prime. Now, we have to reflect that over what? But what's important is it says, always reflect the new point. So what's my new point? So now we're going to reflect this juice over line two. So don't forget, you underline one. Don't forget, guys, extend your lines.